Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Broto Fantasy Football Podcast presented by BrotoFantasy.com and the Fantasy Football by Broto app, the only tool you need to dominate fantasy football.
Like, share, subscribe, download Daddy's Home. We are back with week 2 of Crunch Time Live. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, for all of your last-minute start-sit quandaries. I am joined, not as always, but very pleasured of mine to announce that I'm joined with Bick over here. I'm pointing in the right direction if you're on video. And down below me, we got Femi at Gridiron Greek on Twitter. Much love, much respect. What's up, y'all?
What it do?
What's going on, man?
We're living high. We're living high. Living in a hurricane, so I'm running the audio through my webcam mic so I can have an additional power surge attached to my laptop so I can actually maintain this stream for the entire time. Yeah, man, I'm stoked to be here. Dominique Martin in here saying week 2, baby, already off to a hot start with a DeAndre Swift start. One of the 28% of people across all platforms that were confident enough to start DeAndre. You got to love that play. Boyd's in here saying my dad's. Much love to everybody. We got to get some questions in here, but before we do, I mean, we can go over a little bit of injury news for sure. Femi was just checking out some stuff for us as well. We've got Brandon Cooks not playing today. We have Travis Kelce, who is suiting up, Mark Andrews, who is suiting up, DeAndre Hopkins, who is suiting up, a couple other injured players coming out. Obviously, Thursday night we had Kenneth Gainwell. He was in my list anyway. I didn't even need to say that, but it's hard. It's so hard when you're in a flow, when you're reading, to like skip over and keep going. Yeah. Obviously, Cincinnati backup running back, more of a dynasty throw in there, is Chris Evans is out as well. We've got a couple of questionables and whatnot. Am I missing anybody so far? I think that's the main names.
Austin Eckler out.
Yeah, there we go.
Christian Watson and Aaron Jones are both expected to be out. They're not officially listed yet, which sucks for my IR spots, but they're going to be out. Deontay Johnson is out this week, Jacoby Myers, and I hope you wouldn't have to start this guy, but Deontay Foreman is also out this week.
Which actually should increase some snaps for Roschon Johnson. Bringing us to our first question, we'll hop back into some injury news and some topical information, but always got to get to the start-sit questions in the chat first. We got John DePinto in here asking Dalvin Cook, Roschon Johnson, or Christian Kirk in his flex spot.
For me, it's going to be, even after last week, it's going to be Christian Kirk. I think I'm not in love with the Chicago running backs this week against that Tampa front. And I think with the highest over-under of the week, I'm pretty sure, with Kansas City and Jacksonville, that's going to be a good one. It's going to be a bloodbath. And the only way Jacksonville, I think, has a shot is if they're fighting, and that's going to have to be Christian Kirk. So I'm not a Kirk fan by any means. I just think the Zay Jones over Christian Kirk thing isn't gonna stick. So for me, it's Christian Kirk, assuming PPR. If it's a standard league for some reason, then maybe we can have a different discussion. But for me, it's Christian Kirk on this one.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with you there, and I'll piggyback a little bit on what you're saying. Like, the Bears are facing that Tampa Bay Buccaneers front, who had, I mean, yes, he's looked pretty bad during the first 2 weeks, but obviously they had no issue shutting down the Vikings run game. They have a pretty weak Bears offensive line in front of them, and a lot of Roschon Johnson's production, as impressive as it was, it came in complete garbage time when that game was already lost to the Packers in week 1. Not an overly high snap share. Khalil Herbert was still getting his. Obviously, Deontay Foreman out. You can expect that to increase a little bit, but he's not somebody that I would necessarily have anywhere higher than, you know, a low-end RB2 for this week. And I completely agree with Vic there. And I actually think the Jaguars are going to win this game with Kansas City as 3.5-point favorites. I'm got a little bit of a Skrilla on the Jags there to take that money line. And yeah, and exactly that philosophy. It's going to be a high-scoring game, and I think people are still sleeping on how good that Jaguars offense actually is.
Mm-hmm. And just to get everybody discussed, Dalvin Cook.
He was the third option of all these guys anyway.
Yeah, I would start I don't know. I was never I have 0 shares of Cook. I don't have much interest, especially against Dallas, when Brees Hall already showed week 1 coming off his ACL tear that he's the alpha on the team. He's clearly better. He's more effective. And now they're in a matchup that is anything but favorable. So I'm not touching Cook with a 37.5-foot pole this week. And at this point, really ever. But, so yeah, I just wanted to make sure that he got discussed as well. He would be 3rd in my pecking order there.
Yeah, and I think obviously Brees Hall still on a pitch count. It doesn't seemingly matter how many touches that kid gets a game. He's going to outproduce Dalvin, and they're only going to be able to keep that suppressed for so long as well. Femi, do you agree on the first start sit of the day?
Yeah, I think it's like a kind of surprising spot to go with Christian Kirk, because you've seen a lot of Rashawn Johnson hype. He probably looked better than Khalil Herbert last week. But I think I got to agree with that kind of order of this. If it's like PPR or even half PPR, Dalvin Cook does not look very good. He might have like a safe floor, getting some receiving work with, like you said, Brees Hall still on a pitch count. But honestly, if you're going to go for like a running back again in a bad matchup, just go with Rashawn Johnson at that point. But I do agree, Christian Kirk, a lot of upside there in this matchup. Like I think you said, one of the highest point totals. It must be like 51 and a half.
50 and a half.
50 and a half. Okay, there you go. You're basically, this is going to be like Christian Kirk's like a kind of guy you would see like in a DFS lineup, like at the end of the week, where it's like, he had like either he got you like 0.8 points or he got you like 50 points. And I don't think any of these guys are coming even close to that range of outcomes. And I think you could probably still get a solid floor with Christian Kirk, like, 3 catches, 24 yards. I don't think that's like, unbelievable to think about. Not that you want that floor, but it's better than a goose egg.
Yeah, I mean, I think the floor is probably a little bit higher than that in this matchup, but I mean, we've covered all the bases there. I think it's Christian Kirk in that spot. We got Big Will in here, Big freaking Won't, the 3 most handsome trio in the Brodo squad. I cannot argue with that at all. We definitely smashed the Petrops as far as good looks go. He's saying good morning. What up, Will? So good to have you in here, man. I appreciate the love. It's always nice having you in the chats. You're one of the homeboys for show. You know what? I've got a bit of an interesting start sit one for you, because now that he is healthy, this is and kind of touching into the same, I guess, realm, but it would be mine is Travis Etienne or DeAndre Hopkins.
And it's against the Chargers, right?
Yeah. Indeed, they do.
I'm gonna go ETN, because I frankly cannot believe that DeAndre Hopkins is playing this week. With his trajectory, with his age, with how long the season is, I thought for sure they'd hold him out this week, especially if it's a, I don't know, mild high ankle sprain, whatever the fuck it's supposed to be. I mean, he's going to get his targets. It's just, does he make it through the game? How often is he playing? I mean, it doesn't matter if he's playing 50% of the snaps, he's going to get a target on 100% of those 50%. So it doesn't really matter. But ETN, we saw them finally unlock his receiving game last week, and maybe it's an outlier, or maybe it's a sign of things to come. And the Kansas City defense fucking sucks. So, like, I'm so down for ETN. I was a big ETN fan last year, and he didn't do as much as I thought. But heading into this year, we saw him just ball out last week, and I think he does it again. I'm just scared of Hopkins. I'm starting him somewhere reluctantly because I have no one else to replace him with. I do think he's benchable. Obviously, that's maybe bold, but I'm not sold. I'm just not sold on his health, and that's about it. Like, I'm just worried he doesn't make it through the game.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly a fair assessment, especially this early in the season. Like, gotta not get cute and just start your studs, so to speak. And I can't argue with that. We got Charles Kearney in here. Happy week 2, everyone. He says, I'm in a pickle. Well, that's why we're here, buddy. We got you covered. We can handle all the pickles. Pause. I'm stuck and need help. Have to fill my wide receiver 2 spot and my flex spot. the options here. So I guess it's a start two out of these options. Jerry Jeudy, who is available. We didn't mention in the injury upside because I wanted to get right into the questions here, but Jerry Jeudy is available coming off of the injury list. Michael Thomas, who surprisingly had, quite a decent game last game, still seeing a very high volume of targets. Amari Cooper and Zay Flowers. So start two, I would assume, a wide receiver two and a flex between Jerry Jeudy, Michael Thomas, Amari Cooper, and Zay Flowers. Femi, start. You go first.
You're putting me on the spot, man. I'm still reading the question. Amari Cooper's got some health issues, right? He's a bit questionable. I think it's supposed to be like another rain fest for this game.
Not great weather there.
Really concerns me. So we're starting wide receiver. It's start two wide receivers. They're all wide receivers at this point. Michael Thomas against the Carolina Panthers.
Fabian did add Kyron Williams in there as a potential flex option.
I'm not starting Kyron Williams against the 49ers.
Not me either. So we can
significantly better than Cam Akers, who had like 29 yards on 22 carries. One of the most disgusting stat lines you'll ever see.
Well, until
aside from when Jerome Bettis was
Jackson had 18 yards on 14 carries.
Well, yeah. I was going to say not as bad as Jerome Bettis, 8 carries, -3 yards, 3 touchdowns, like that kind of stuff back in the day.
Yeah,
at least he scored.
I'm going to go with Zay Flowers as the kind of must-start option right now. Highest rookie target share of any Ravens wide receiver in their debut ever. Highest receiving yards market share of any Ravens wide receiver in their debut ever. He's the only Ravens wide receiver that cracked over 5 targets. He looked the part. He looked phenomenal. He seemed to be their wide receiver one. He has some great yak ability. So Zay Flowers is my must start here. And I think it might be a little risky with Cooper in the weather. Jeudy coming off an injury, but I'm probably favoring Jeudy over Michael Thomas. I think it's Jerry Jeudy and Zay Flowers for me here. It might be a little bit of a risky with Jeudy coming off that injury, but I don't know. I'm just not ready to give up on that player yet, I guess.
Yeah, so for me, with Amari Cooper having, a groin injury now, and he may not even play Monday night, there's no shot in hell that I'm playing Amari Cooper. With his history of soft tissue and the fact that he's already got one going on, I have to pass. But I think I'm on the same wave with Jerry Jeudy and Zay Flowers. Jerry Judy's another injury risk coming off the hamstring, and I detest hamstrings, but he's another, just like D-Hop, if he's playing 50%, he's probably going to have a target on 100% of that 50%. Like, he's going to get targeted heavily. They needed him last week. We saw fucking Lil Jordan Humphrey and whatever the hell was going on there.
All right, just remember to get the questions up.
Also, when you were this is a different point that I don't want to forget. You started reading Charles's question, and then you shifted over to the next question. So we actually didn't address Charles and their situation.
We'll do that immediately afterwards.
Okay, but yeah. So the TLDR for me is Jerry Jeudy and Zay Flowers as well. Even with Andrews coming back, I think it just opens up the field for him even more. I don't think it's really that much of a negative.
Yeah, for sure. And good eye on that. It's the crunch time guarantee that we answer all questions. And I didn't even finish reading this one, so I hope still here, Charles. And I'll fix that pickle. He's got to start at least one running back. That's Hall, James Conner, Breece Hall, obviously, James Conner, and Mike Williams. So Mike Williams and Conner, I guess, are going to fill a flex, but one of those running backs needs to start. Conner has all the opportunity. Hall is so good, even though on a pitch count, I agree. And he has the Herbert to stack with Mike Will at PPR. I think I'm going to start Breece Hall here. I'm going to go for the ceiling upside play. I tweeted about it earlier. Conner, obviously one of the highest opportunity shares of week one of the highest snap shares of any running back of week one. That team might score 3 touchdowns all season. And Mike Will definitely obviously coming off that, jump ball again, injury, getting banged up there, but is going to play. I'm starting Breece Hall and Mike Williams here. I'm going to go ceiling.
Yeah, that's valid. I myself probably go Conner just because, you know what I say it every week, and then it happens every week. I say every week Breece Hall can't just keep ripping off 50-yard runs. He just can't do it every single week. And when he stops doing it, then he gives you 3.7. But you know what? He does it every week. So what do I know? I love the volume with Connor. I like the matchup with Connor a lot. We saw the Giants. They're playing the Giants, right? The Giants absolutely implode last week. And they imploded against the team that Breece Hall is playing against. And now Zach Wilson is quarterback. Like,
Check down the city.
I'm a bit. You're right. You're right. But for me, it's Connor. I totally understand the ceiling play. I just think we're kind of sacrificing floor a little bit playing Mike Williams. So for me, I'm not going ultimate ceiling. I think Connor also presents a nice ceiling as well with the volume that he's getting in a plus matchup. So for me, it would be Connor and Mike Williams. But it's splitting hairs at this point. So I'll commit to Connor and Mike Williams for me. That leaves me for the tiebreaker.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with you, Bick. Unfortunately, I was not very high on James Conner coming into the season. Nothing against what he did last year. It just seemed a bit fluky. Reading a lot of analytics about how X percent of his fantasy points came on like this, and it's unsustainable. And he was actually my RB bust last week against the Commanders because they're so good at shutting down running backs, especially in the passing game. But it basically just doesn't matter because he's just going to get every opportunity. He has the third highest pass block grade by Pro Football Focus among all running backs right now. He's not ceding that role anyway. We weren't really concerned about that. But it's just nice to see that you're probably going to get him out there. And they're probably going to need him. Joshua Dobbs is going to just hit him and Zach Ertz, I guess. I guess Marquise Brown is just never going to do anything. Let's hope that changes. I understand Breece Hall. It's so hard to bench him. Just from in my heart, I find it hard to bench him because I know, he can break off any run. I don't care what defense it is. But unfortunately, they're 8.5, 9-point underdogs.
Yeah.
I know he can get receiving work to keep a floor, and he can have a higher ceiling than Connor with half the opportunities. But I'm just really not going to take that risk when you have James Conner, who's probably going to get you 14 points just based on receiving alone. And then I have no problem starting Mike Williams. I know, injury is an issue, but one of the best matchups probably in the league right now. It's them and the Jags that were you don't run against them. You just pass against them. You just drop bombs all over them.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, Mike Williams, he could get, a 40-yard touchdown and then and that's it. You don't need anything else out of him. Obviously not something that's guaranteed for anyone, but yeah, Connor and Mike Williams, I think great players to target. And I'm benching Hall, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'll stand by you guys with that then. We got some homeboys in here. Eduardo asking, "Hey guys, all good? Everything's good. Brother.
Everything's great, man.
Happy to be here. Happy to be answering those questions." John DePinto is asking, "Is it time to panic on Juju?" I think absolutely. If you're getting outsnapped by Kayshon Boutte, it is time to panic. We got Dominique back in here saying, "Got to start 2 in flex spots. Half PPR. Josh Kelly, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamal Williams. Start 2." I'm going to go Jamal Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs.
Amen. I'm not even. Yeah. I'm on the fade Josh
I'm
Kelly train this week.
Jahmyr Gibbs whatsoever. I think Josh Kelly has played 8 total games. I might be misremembering the stats, but I'll try to get him up. Shout out to the Twitterverse. He's played 8 games without Austin Eckler in the lineup. Started 8 games, started. Obviously they've always run a committee, and he'd averaged 3.8 points per game in those 8 contests. Josh Kelly is not a starting running back. He absolutely can become the thumper that the Chargers so desperately need, but he's not a guy that, even like James Conner, with a 20 touch opportunity share, can produce a decent enough floor that you're going to feel super comfortable in his lineups. And as we said, it's kind of one of those teams where I don't really see them running the ball much. He might get some garbage time looks, but that's about it. Jamal Williams was in a smash mashup last week. Didn't produce the way that we thought he would, but still the unquestioned number one. Kendre Miller still injured. There's nobody else in that backfield. It's the Jamal Williams show until Kamara gets back from suspension.
Well,
and again, I'm not panicked about Jahmyr Gibbs whatsoever.
So we saw Jamal Williams play Tennessee last week, who shut him down on high volume, and now we're seeing Josh Kelly against Tennessee this week in the exact same situation, and who I believe is to be lesser of a player. I have a bet out there with our boy Boyd that I predict that Zach Moss will have more PPR points this week than Josh Kelly. So I'm fading.
I would
I'm
agree
fading
with
Josh Kelly pretty hard. I agree with Gibbs and Jamal Williams wholeheartedly. I think Jamal Williams finds the end zone this week, like we all expected him to probably do last week, just because it's what he does.
Agreed.
So I think it's Jamal Williams and Gibbs, especially. I know it's half PPR, so Gibbs could be a little scary, but his usage is going to go up. He was super efficient and very strong last week. So, Gibbs and Jamal Williams for me.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too. Joshua Kelly, a hot name right now with Austin Eckler out. But yeah, like you said, I think it was Matt, where he's just not getting like the receiving work to kind of give you that floor. Terrible matchup. Like we said, you want to throw on Tennessee. It's not impossible to run on them. It's not like you can't get a sneaky touchdown or a big gain. These are still NFL players at the end of the day. Someone can slip. Joshua Kelly could just be better on a play, follow his blockers or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to have to go with Jamal Williams unquestioned in that backfield. Jahmyr Gibbs, like DeAndre Swift last week, or this week, I guess, I think a lot of people overreacting. Obviously, context matters. Kenneth Gainwell was out for DeAndre Swift. Jahmyr Gibbs still has David Montgomery in front of him, and that's going to limit him as long as he's there, basically. But give him 12 touches, and I think he easily beats out Josh Kelly.
Absolutely. And I mean, likely 10 of those touches are receptions. So, but and also like to say, a little bit of credence as a Saints fan. It's like Derek Carr looked absolutely horrendous in that first half of Saints football that he played, and then had 230 passing yards and 2 touchdowns in the second half. So I feel like he might be able to be above average on a more consistent basis, and obviously more scoring opportunities for that offense means better things for Jamal Williams. We got Case in. We got a lot of questions coming in, boys.
Yeah.
So we got to flow. Case Wilson coming in. He wants to start 2: Jamal Williams, Javonte Williams, Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Judy's the one that I'm benching in this. And we broke down Jamal, but I'll also break down Javonte. Javonte Williams led the Broncos in targets and tied Samaje Perine in total snaps and rushing, and had more rushing opportunities than him. So that is the game, his first game back from a mid-season ACL tear when he was supposed to be on a pitch count. Imagine what happens as he gets healthy throughout the season. And going back to before that, Javonte Williams was averaging 4.5 targets a game before his ACL injury. The guy really is a do-it-all back. He doesn't get enough credence for being the positive receiver as he is. And even in if he's 80% healthy with an 80% motor, like week 1, he looked absolutely phenomenal, smashing through defenders as he usually does.
Yeah. Yesterday in the Discord, Case asked this question and I answered it. Jamal Williams and Javonte Williams myself. So I'm not going to go too far into it. Javonte's matchup isn't awesome against Washington based on last year's data, but I don't think it matters. He's going to catch 5 to 7 balls because that's just how the offense runs, and that's going to give him a great floor. And then we know what he can do with the ball in his hands, which increases his ceiling. So just for safety and for matchups that I like, I would say Jerry Jeudy as well.
It's kind of tough. I think Javonte Williams is sort of maybe a little bit of a trap this week. Like I don't know if I can justify benching him, but we might see a lot more Samaje Perine out there. Denver could not block to save their life in the passing game. Russell Wilson constantly under pressure, did not look very good. And now you're getting Washington, who has one of the best pass rushes in the league. I think their pass rush win rate last week was 8th or 6th or something. Obviously, that's a 1-game sample against the Arizona Cardinals. You can't really put much stock into that.
Line in the NFL.
Yeah. Apparently, except for whoever's on my quarterback in fantasy, apparently they also have the worst offensive line in the league. That being said, if the offensive line is an issue, I think that's going to hurt Jerry Jeudy a lot more. Javonte Williams is more in line for touches, perhaps not upside. But it still is a 3.5 point game. They're still favored at home. And, Themi is Zordon. What? Okay. They keep bringing this up. I don't know what that is. I think it's a big face from Power Rangers.
It is the big face from Power Rangers.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of Power Rangers.
That's not me, by the way. I'm not on the account. I just had to throw in.
I know it's not you.
I think we got that one.
I will still begrudgingly start Javonte Williams and Jamal Williams.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement there. Big Will coming in off the top rope with another one, half PPR. Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook. I'm taking Breece there. Khalil Herbert, Roshan Johnson, and Justin Hill. He needs to start 2 out of this bunch. Am I crazy to start both Jets running backs? I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't. Yeah, I'm gonna go this is very much like a ceiling lineup. I think the floor is safest with Justice Hill here. Khalil Herbert and Roshan potentially vulturing each other. Whoever gets the touchdown, which is obviously there's nothing to give us credence to predict that, is likely the back that you want there. I'm looking at a similar touch projection, 10 to 13 for both. I think Breece Hall on 12 touches, if we're all assuming 12 to 15 touches for all of these running backs, is the one that you want to play the most.
Okay, so Breece Hall, you got to start.
Yep.
And then I think Justice Hill is a trap. I don't like the matchups with the Bears running backs, but out of all of this, I think I'm going Breece Hall and Khalil Herbert until I'm going to run Herbert until Rashawn Johnson takes over. If he does, we'll see how that plays out. I can't, in good faith, start Justice Hill. I think he's a good bench stash. I'm not going to start both Jets running backs because Dallas is too good. So I'll just take the one with higher upside. And it just by default for me goes to Breece Hall and Khalil Herbert. But it's an unfortunate situation to be in. To be honest, I don't love it. But
yeah, it's rough because you have two starting running backs and then their backups. If you want to figure out which one's the starting running back on the Jets, be my guest. I'm gonna agree with Bick here. I think Breece Hall is the start because how much upside are you really getting? Is Justice Hill going to be getting like 1,000 carries, or is he just beginning to get like a goal line vulture? And then I'm going to go with Khalil Herbert as well. I know Rashawn Johnson is getting the hype. He looked much better last week, but I'm not ready to seed it just yet. But I don't think like starting either of them is going to, be that great of a move. Yeah, it's just Breece Hall and then like spin a wheel. Basically,
yeah.
And my wheel says Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to kind of agree with there. Again, I said I think Justice Hill might have the safest floor, just because it's so hard to predict the touch output here, and he will split touches with Gus Edwards as well, who I absolutely did prefer in waivers this week. I'm going to go Khalil and Breece. We're going to play the ceilings here, and we're going to hope that Khalil maintains that pseudo RB1 role for longer than one more week. We got Tom Brady, Stan, #GOAT, coming back for another year of crunch time, a regular here. What's up, fellas? So good to see you in the chat, brother. Flex PPR, Jamal Williams or Romeo Dubs. I don't think we have to spend too much time on this one. I am going to go Jamal Williams ahead of Romeo, and I'm a big Dubs fan. I do think that the target volume is there, but also it wasn't like Jaden Reed matched him in targets and played half the amount of snaps, and Romeo Dubs was just producing because of the touchdown catches, right? Like you remove those, and 4 for 34 is not really something that you're stoked in your lineup. And I can kind of guarantee that Jamal Williams has at least an 8-point floor.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going Jamal Williams. I'll keep it simple. We gotta get through this. So I think Jamal Williams.
I do think that's the obvious play there as well.
I think they're both in good spots, to be honest. But I think you'll have a solid floor either way. But Jamal Williams is just better in a better spot. If I had to guess.
We got Boy Aguardo in here again in standard league for wide receiver 2. So reception count doesn't matter. Who gets more yards, DJ Moore or Rashid Shaheed?
I'm going to go DJ Moore.
Yeah, me too. Although if you're in a hole from Thursday night, you might play the ceiling there and see another, 89-yard bomb. 39 yards, 89 yards total from Rashid Shaheed. But I think DJ Moore is the safer play and has just as good of an upside to hit 100 yard game here.
I was going to say DJ Moore can also do that. DJ Moore's a dog.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dog.
2 targets in week 1.
After week 1.
But I'm not panicking on any data from week 1. I just simply refuse to. He
can take his screen.
Sorry, I'm interrupting you now. Big Will coming in again. Cortland Sutton, Elijah Moore, JSN, and Juju. So start 1. Yeah, already have Jefferson and Olave, who, you're not switching those out. It's half PPR. So Elijah Moore, JSN. I am panicking on Juju. I'm probably not putting him in any starting lineups this week. So we can go Cortland Sutton, Elijah Moore, JSN. If you guys feel Juju, go ahead. I'll let either one of you start.
I'm going to go with Elijah Moore. I went with him last week. Had probably a better game than expected, maybe better than I expected. Whether or not Amari Cooper starts, I think this is a very good matchup. I really hate to say it because I got my where's the logo? I got my Steelers cup. It's not even in focus. That's how bad my team is. Not to rag on them completely because every team has their downsides and upsides, but man, it's going to be hard to imagine Pittsburgh shutting down Elijah Moore. I know there were some plays where Pat Pete slipped last week. I don't know if he's going to be shadowing Moore specifically, even if he starts. But man, I think Deshaun Watson is just going to carve them up. Maybe not a lot of upside if they take an early lead and they can just lean on Nick Chubb because they're a run-heavy offense anyway with Kevin Stefanski. But I'm going to go with Elijah Moore there.
Yeah, for me as well, especially with Cooper potentially not playing. I think it's a smash. It's a smash spot. I'm also biased. I love Elijah Moore, and he's just better than all of these guys where we stand right now, based on opportunity and the matchup.
I thought you were going to say talent, and I was going to say, do not say Elijah Moore has more talent than JSN.
No, I'm not saying that. I mean, he does, but I'm not saying
I
that.
agree, especially from
You're really trying to piss me off, Vic, man.
It's Elijah Moore for me in this matchup as well. Cortland Sutton probably a reduced opportunity share. I mean, guaranteed reduced opportunity share. Literally 100% of the games they played together with Jerry Jeudy coming back. JSN still, third in the pecking order. An offense that looks like it might be struggling or maybe facing a bit of a hangover from their Cinderella season last year. Yeah, I like Elijah Moore in the spot, and obviously you're keeping Jefferson and Olave in there. James, and I'll never attempt to pronounce your last name, but I appreciate you showing up in the stream as much as you do, brother. Zay Flowers over Mike Evans, ? If it's PPR, I'm probably doing that. I mean, if it's non-PPR, I'm doing that. Yeah, I'm going to go Zay Flowers over Mike Evans here. I think the Buccaneers had essentially a gifted game to them, and Mike Evans was only utilizable because of the touchdown.
Yeah, I'm going Zay Flowers as well. But I'm not a Mike Evans fan, so this is a bias thing. I don't, everyone just says he's going to have his 1,000 yards. That's great, but he's going to go 1 for 18 7 times, and then he's going to have 2 games where he puts up 200 yards, and that's how he's going to get there. So it's he already had a big game last week. I don't love the matchup. And Zay Flowers was just a hog last week, and I'm a volume guy over a big play guy more often than not. So I'll take the volume on this one with Zay Flowers, even with Mark Andrews back.
Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. First of all, it's Yankopoulos, so don't disrespect the Greek last name.
I appreciate you coming in and off to help me out.
That's why we got him here.
That's the only thing I'm good for, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we were discussing this in our little private chat where Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, one of the better matchups that you could hope for. And they still really didn't do much. It was that touchdown that really saved him. I know Chris Godwin was wide receiver 44 and half PPR. Mike Evans was I think a borderline wide receiver 1. And I don't think that that's going to be the case again this week. Rachaad White has one of the juiciest matchups of the week. Even if it's Sean Tucker that somehow takes a role right now, it really doesn't matter because I think they're just going to run the heck out of this ball. And I'm sure Mike Evans will get his, any week he can truly explode. It's never been that issue. But Baker Mayfield's not throwing as much as Tom Brady threw, the record setting, 800 times that he threw it last year. And even then Mike Evans wasn't that great because the quality of the targets wasn't that great either. And I don't think it's going to get any better with Baker Mayfield. You're banking on a touchdown here, and I'd rather bank on Zay Flowers.
Facts. We got another one that's kind of similar, so we could probably get through it pretty quick, but it's would you start flex full PPR, Zay Flowers, Lockett, Javonte, or Algier? It's really only between Lockett and Flowers, in my opinion, and I would probably agree with you on that one. Leaning towards Flowers, but I think Javonte deserves to be in this conversation. It's just matchup based at that point, which obviously, as we were saying, Javante's not in the best matchup. I do still like his floor outplay, and then Samaji can still get his, which may reduce that touchdown production. So it's Zay Flowers for me. Lockett, yeah, obviously a concussion game is going to reduce any statistics that you have, but I do think it's going to be more of a 3-man weave than it was the 2-man show that we saw last year as far as target opportunity is concerned with Lockett, Metcalf, and JSN. So it's Zay Flowers for me. Again, Mark Andrews' return absolutely may reduce that overall target ceiling, but he's like Rashad Bateman and Odell barely played the game. Like it's Zay Flowers. They clearly spent the right draft capital on that kid for the reasons that they did.
I think it's really close between Zay Flowers and Lockett. Honestly, just Lockett is continually year after year, week after week, one of the most disrespected stars in football. And I know JSN is there, and he's going to get his targets. And I like the high scoring matchup with Detroit. Honestly, I expect that to be a pretty good game too.
I hopped so many questions. Go ahead. Sorry.
You're good. I guess I can vouch for Zay Flowers, but I myself would go Lockett in that situation. Call me crazy, but it's
all right.
Once again,
tiebreaker.
Yeah, I'm going with Lockett here. I seem to agree with Bick a lot this week.
Let's go.
Zay Flowers, could explode again. It's going to be hard to keep that up over the course of like the first half of the season. A lot of like really short touches that like he took to the house. We know that he has the ability. It's not like a question of can he not take like, small plays and turn them into big plays. But I'd rather like get a guy like Lockett and, kind of hope that Detroit takes an early lead. It's, 47 points for the projected point total. I like the over-under is, not anything special by any means. But, Detroit's like 5.5 point favorites at home. Maybe not the most ideal matchup of all time, but I'm going to go with the guy who's probably going to get, a better ADOT and, more opportunity as the game goes on. That's about it.
All right. Lock it in then. David Ezekiel here, half PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 running back. Flowers, Dobbs, Moss, Roschon Johnson, Kyron Williams. Your wide receiver there is Flowers. You just heard us break that down for a couple questions in a row there. Hopefully you're still tuning in. So between the running backs, you got 4 here actually. Zach Moss. No, Roschon Johnson, Kyron Williams. There you go. Difficult when you give me a last name, a full name, and then a first name. But
yeah.
Well, if you just said Johnson, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I'm taking Zach Moss against Houston. I said it earlier. I like his spot. I think his competition is trash, and
Evan Hall is not playing. Deion Jackson is garbage.
That's about it. That's all I got. Moss versus Houston. It's a tale as old as time. Houston can't stop the run. I'm banking on it. I don't think he's sexy. I don't think he's going to light the world on fire, but I think he'll provide a solid floor. And
I agree. Well, you're cut out, but I agree with you. Yeah. So it's going to be Flowers and Moss at half.
That's that. I do not trust Kyron Williams.
I think that's the play. Demi?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you guys too on that. I will say, I was thinking about Big Will's question from like 10 questions ago with the the Jets running backs, the Bears running backs, and the more I look into Roschon Johnson, I'm kind of like selling myself on him this week. 5th best pass blocking grade, and he played a ton of third downs. I think he's got like a decent floor, to be honest. Especially if this game kind of runs away. It's only 2.5 points on the spread, but I just want to put it out there that I'm a little higher on Roschon Johnson than I was like 5 minutes ago.
All right.
But I will still go with Moss with the matchup. I just want to put that little caveat.
JRDN Jordan potentially need to start a running back and flex between Pacheco, Justice Hill, Gabe Davis. It's standard PPR. I mean, those are two different things, but I assume it's PPR with no additional first down 100-yard point totals there. Happy to see you back, boys. We're happy to have you in the chat, man. It's always a pleasure to be in here on Sundays answering these questions for you guys. Start a running back and flex. The running back that I'm going to start is obviously Pacheco here. I think Justice Hill isn't the RB1 in the Ravens, and opportunity share would certainly indicate that. He just happened to fall into the end zone twice last week. So I'm going to start Pacheco at the flex, and I don't hate actually Gabe Davis over Justice Hill this week either.
Yeah, vouch. Simple.
Word.
That's
Simple.
Pacheco
Perfect.
actually ran more routes and got more targets than Jerick McKinnon week one against the Lions, which is maybe just week one usage, maybe just, like a single game thing. Just very interesting. I mean, I think Jerick McKinnon did kind of like get a little hobbled in the middle of the game, which probably hurt him a bit. But yeah, I mean, I'm a little high on just Pacheco this week, even though it's like not the best matchup of all time, but it is the Chiefs.
Pretty good one.
They're going to scheme.
It's just a high scoring matchup in that sense. And obviously I like any member of the Kansas City offense to randomly find a touchdown any week.
That's also fair. And he's going to have, one of the best opportunities to do that because no wide receiver is really like separating themselves.
Facts. Kelsey back, yeah, but it's still a tight end backfield target share for the Chiefs right now. Absolutely. We got Andrew Croucher in here, full PPR flex play. Your boy, George Pickens, Nico Collins, or Kendrick Bourne. I might just take this one over and bring up my sleeper of the week and start Nico Collins. Kendrick, the Patriots aren't going to pass 54 times a game, and you had 5 players with 6 or more targets, so they're spreading the ball out. Kendrick Bourne found touchdowns, and he had 2 more targets than the person in second. It's not like he was truly a standalone alpha target receiver. Earner. Pickens with no Deontay Johnson, I still need to see it. I still need to see it because there was no Deontay Johnson last game, and Allen Robinson led the team in targets and receptions. So I do still need to see it from George Pickens. He might be one of the most exciting big players in the NFL, but he's not a consistent fantasy player. Nico Collins, however, 11 targets, led the team in targets, led the team in snap percentage, led the team in routes run. The Texans are probably going to be in a bit of a back and forth with the Colts. I could see it just being a slogfest of a run game as well. Don't get me wrong. Obviously leaning on Dameon Pierce and Zach Moss and the legs of Anthony Richardson to get those scores pushed up to where they need to be. But Nico's opportunity against a weakened Colts secondary is honestly justifiable enough for me to put him in my lineups. If he gets another 10 target opportunity share, 8 for 64 with increased touchdown upside, which he didn't really have last week. I mean, obviously they didn't score that passing touchdown. Then yeah, I mean, that would legitimately push Nico into the top 12 conversation for this week. I don't think he actually gets there, but I do think he provides a serviceable enough floor and a decent ceiling to where I'd start him over both these guys.
Yeah, I think that's true. And the Texans are going with CJ Stroud this week. Officially, he is active. So I think that's a good thing for Nico Collins. Just based on.
I mean, it honestly might have been a better thing if Davis Mills was under center because he was hyper targeting him last year when Brandon Cooks was sitting down, right? But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Stroud is a much better passer than Davis Mills is, and he has a number one. It's Nico.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I know John Mechie was just activated. He's going to play. Hope he does well. I don't know if he's going to be that much of a threat to Nico Collins. Like you said, I know you said he was hyper targeted with Davis Mills, but Nico Collins is the type of guy who you play in full PPR because he's probably going to get 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 targets. Even if he catches 8 of those for 60 yards, that's better than a lot of wide receivers. It's not the best upside unless he gets a touchdown or, he still has big play potential, but it's not the best. But over those guys, yeah, I'm going with Nico Collins.
For sure. All right, we got a lot to catch up on. Joe Arias in here. What's up, boys? 6-point touchdowns. Richardson, Daniel Jones, or Goff? Also, he says, I was traded away wide receiver Wilson for Amon-Ra St. Brown. What do you guys think? I like that a lot.
That's huge.
They were 5 picks, maybe 4 picks separated in original ADP and startups, and now Wilson is without Rodgers. Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. Absolutely smash trade there. Way to get Amon-Ra. For the quarterbacks here, I'm probably 6-point passing touchdowns. I'm probably gonna lean a little bit of Jared Goff here.
Yep. That's what I would have said, especially if he has Amon-Ra now. I mean, I'm not a stack guy, but it's always fun, And Goff was my first answer, even without that. So I think Goff is fair in this situation. I'd prefer Richardson maybe in 4-point touchdown leagues and Daniel Jones to that fact, but I'm just avoiding the Giants until I see them do anything better than last week. So for me, it's Goff as well.
Word.
I think you got three great options here, especially this week. I wouldn't have a problem starting either of these guys. I don't care that it's 6-point touchdown. Obviously, that affects Goff. Helps Goff more than the other guys. I will give like the tiniest sliver of edge to actually Daniel Jones, just because I think he has one of the best bounce back matchups of this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the
Listen,
Cardinals.
I understand the concerns. I know he's not a great quarterback. I know Brian Dable can only do so much to help this guy. He's not going to be Josh Allen 2.0, but I don't necessarily need him to be that. I think that his rushing ability alone, even in like spurts, is going to give you like a pretty nice floor. I don't think Goff is going to offer nearly as much on a weekly basis, obviously. But then I think that the passing game is going to look a lot better than it looked last week against Dallas. Very fluky game. Great team. Obviously, a massive just mismatch in terms of talent. And these things just happen. You're not going to see this on a weekly basis. It's the Arizona Cardinals that they're versing. I'd actually prefer that they go down so that they keep passing. But I think they're going to actually start to tear them up. And I think Daniel Jones gets a slight edge. But I think all these guys are good for like 18 to 20 points.
Yep.
So,
Agreed.
Sure. Jordan back in here with a different team. Standard PPR, he needs to start 2 flex spots. Michael Thomas, Terry McLaurin, Raheem Mostert, who I'm definitely benching, and Javonte Williams. So start 2. You could take Raheem Mostert if either one of you want. I'm not. Michael Thomas, Terry McLaurin, Javonte Williams. I'm going to go Javonte and Terry.
Yep.
Yeah. Demi, you in agreement?
I want to start Michael Thomas.
I don't care if you are. All right, RB
Wow.
question. White and against the lowly Bears. No way I can replace him with Javonte Williams, right? Full PPR.
Correct, in my
We
opinion.
were talking about Rachaad White having another slam dunk matchup, a bit of a bounce back look. Themi was mentioning that Sean Tucker could carve out a role, but he is really yet to do so. Obviously, that game was in hand for the Buccaneers. Once the turnovers got out of hand for the Vikings and they were just playing run off the clock, I think that might have had something to do with Sean Tucker's increased opportunity share in the second half as well. No, Rachaad didn't look great, but against the Bears, I think he's somebody that, for me, I actually have them back to back in my rankings this week. And with Rachaad, 1 spot ahead.
Yeah, I'm leaving White in. I'm not overreacting to week 1. I'm gonna stay the course, and ultimately, I would have had Rachaad White over Javonte Williams in season, and I like the matchup better than Javonte Williams. So, I'm sticking with White on this one.
Yep, sticking with White here.
Sticking with White. That's 3 for 3. We got to start Rachaad White this week, then, all of us. This is a good one, too. With Aaron Jones out, would you guys be comfortable starting A.J. Dillon over James Conner?
Personally, not going to do it. I would see if I could get him in my lineup, but I'm still going to go Connor over Dillon. That's it.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Giants definitely susceptible to the run still, it seems. I do think the opportunity share will be there. A.J. Dillon's just somebody I've never been high on, and he's not really going to get much pass catching work, even with Jones out, I don't think. They'll probably just look for Dubs, Luke Musgrave in those opportunities. So, yeah, I think I agree with Themi there. Is like I kind of want to get him into a flex play for that touchdown upside, but I'm still going to lean James Conner for now.
Likewise.
Word. Damn. Full PPR need 2 wide receivers, 1 running back, 1 flex. So basically start Mega Brick's entire lineup for him. Waddle, T. Higgins, Godwin, Dotson, and the running backs are Pacheco and A.J. Dillon. So we can pick 4 players out of the
bench 2, basically, is what this is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm benching Godwin and Pacheco, to be honest. I think Waddle and T are easy starts. I think A.J. Dillon, his opportunity may not and even the offense is not going to be as good as what Pacheco has. But I just think if you're going to start A.J. Dillon, this is the week to start him over Pacheco.
You're right.
To be honest.
Yeah. And I can second that. Dotson, I think, carries a lower floor than Chris Godwin, but Dotson is also a baller at the end of the day. Not to say Godwin isn't, but I've become a big Dotson fan over the
Bro, they're
past
like
6
the
months.
same dude.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm down for that, benching Godwin and Pacheco. I mean, I liked Pacheco's usage in the back half of week 1. But I like Themi just said, it like if I've been saying this about Jamal Williams for everybody, if not now, when? Like,
Yeah.
you play him, if you can find room for him, and this is a spot where I think you can find room for him with Aaron Jones out, then this is when you do it. So, and it's a middle of the road matchup, probably favorable, assuming a positive game script. So I'm cool with Dylan in this situation as well. So yeah, Godwin and Pacheco would be my benches as well.
Facts. Same here, man. And just a heads up to everybody in the chat that's sticking around. I have so much love for you guys. We got 10 minutes left on the scheduled stream, but it is a crunch time guarantee. We're going to get to all your questions, so don't leave after the hour. We're going to answer all of these suckers before kickoff. Don't worry about that. Mega Brick has he says, nice to see you guys again, which was actually his third message in a row. So he really needs these questions answered. But his second one before that is full PPR, start Higbee or Kmet. And he is starting Fields if you're looking for the stack. Higbee's like my number one benchable player this week.
Yeah, that's valid. I'm cool.
Yeah. I've had this screen share ready the entire time, but now I don't actually have to switch any team. So we're going to flip over to it real second, say goodbye to our pretty faces. But the Seattle Seahawks averaged 17.8 points per game to tight ends last season. That's 46.9% over the expected average of their production. So if that tight end averages 10 points a game, they average 46.9% more than 10 points per game. And that ranks first, obviously, in true matchup rank. Higbee couldn't make decent production as the fourth receiving option behind Van Jefferson, Tutu Atwell, and obviously the rookie sensation waiver wire week pickup, Puka Nacua. He's not going to do that against Fred Warner and Talona Hufanga, like the number one team at shutting down receiving production inside of the box in the NFL. Higbee is a must bench player for me this week. I'm happily starting Kmet over him.
Yep. Yeah, I'm down. That would be my answer anyway. Real quickly, via Adam Schefter, Amari Cooper is unlikely to play this week.
Oh, that Moore start looks even better now.
Cooper goes down, Elijah Moore goes up. Probably avoid Cooper at all costs at this point. Yeah,
especially on a Monday night game. Make sure you guys get him out of your lineups and get a guy supplemented in there that's going to play. Or at least, even if he does suit up, it's definitely a safer, smarter game strategy to have those points locked in before you can't refill them. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, as long as Elijah Moore puts his gloves back on, I feel like he's going to have a phenomenal game, because he, even in week 1 in a little bit of a rain out game with no gloves on, he matched Cooper in both receptions and targets. So
yeah.
Oh yeah, nice to see you again too, Mega Brick, my boy. Charles Kearney back up, full PPR. Would you start Javonte or Gus Edwards? It's got to be Javonte for me here, and I do, again, believe that Gus Edwards is actually the RB1. I think opportunity share will begin to show that as it works, down the weeks with no J.K. Dobbins, and then obviously not bringing in a veteran back, at least for right now. Yeah, I like Javonte over Gus. I think, if Justice Hill vultures one of those touchdowns again, there goes your ceiling.
I wouldn't even consider Gus Edwards in that situation. It's Javonte for me, even if it's not the most wonderful matchup I've ever seen. It's Javonte Williams.
Yep, cool with that. I mean, I would entertain Gus Edwards. It's not like he's a bad player, and I do think he'll be the RB1. I think he could break off for like 130 yards, but at the same time, I think Javonte Williams can match like 13 points in full PPR and then exceed that. So I do think you're banking on a touchdown with Gus Edwards, and I'm not uber confident with that just yet.
Facts. Trey's in here saying, "Yo,
what to do?
Pick 2, please." See, Mega Brick, this is how it's done. Introduce yourself first. Harris, Kelly, and White, full PPR.
Assuming Najee Harris.
I'm assuming that's Damian Harris. No, Najee Harris. Yeah. It just seems like a weird group, because as much as I hate Najee, I'm probably still starting him.
You got to start him.
It would be Rachaad White then. So it's the Rachaad White start here. Yeah.
Harris and Rachaad White for me. I'm sorry that you're in that situation, my friend, but you are.
The popular zero running back builds have yielded a lot of these questions early on, and in the fantasy landscape.
We'll
I mean,
see
what are you
what
thinking about Najee? I know he's on your
Yeah.
hometown team.
Steelers insider for real.
I'm definitely not a Steelers insider. Yeah, I think you can't really look at last week too much to say that Najee is like a bust. I do think that like a lot of people who are on the Jalen Warren hype train are gonna be like, look at last week. But it was also a 30-7 blowout. Jalen Warren obviously was going to get more work. Well, I guess it's not obvious. Nothing's obvious or set in stone in this, but I think it made sense that he was getting a lot more work, especially as a pass catcher. Like people will say like, oh, Najee this, Najee that. Like he's not a great player. There's certain things that he just does badly that like makes it so hard for him to like gain points in like a terrible matchup. Like he's such a big dude, and then he like runs forward and then falls. Like, and then you see him like 10 plays later, he like pushes a guy into the ground, and then it's like, why don't you just do that every play?
Yeah,
I know it's not easy to push a fully grown linebacker or D tackle into the ground, but like you're one of the few guys who could probably do it on a consistent basis. Steelers O-line kind of getting a little. It looks worse than last year. Last year was considered an improvement, in my opinion. I will start Harrison White. I think Harris has a big bounce back, not big enough where it's like the Ben Roethlisberger year, but I think it's enough where you're fine starting him.
Yeah, and none of us are really sold on the Josh Kelly RB1 train. I do think even like his upside is actually increased when Eckler is on the field. Like as weird as that sounds for a handcuff, I genuinely do think that he's better because as soon as Josh Kelly stands there and they don't have like a pass game working and multiple substitutions happening, you just stack the box. You can just stack the box. He's not doing anything else. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of his RB1 week this week. I do think it's Harris and White. Tom Brady stan, #GOAT. Always got to throw that out there. It's a great name. Here's a curveball. Nick Folk or Chase McLaughlin, a start-sit for kickers this week. I'm going to go with the consistency of Nick Folk. That's legitimately the only analysis that I have on here is Nick Folk is as consistent as it gets for NFL kickers. He's always been in the top 5 kickers in points per game. So
I saw projections for kickers somewhere this week where they had Chase McLaughlin taking 3 extra points, but only making 2 of them. So he will be on waivers for me. If he's projected to miss an extra point, then I don't want him on my fantasy. I don't know the merit of a kicker projection, but I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go with Nick Folk on this one.
Yeah, I think that's probably just don't get cute and start the guy that can consistently make extra points.
I mean, he put up like 17 points last week. That's what
Nick
he does.
Folk has long been my fantasy kicker.
Yeah,
like just always, because he seems to be the forgotten name amongst all the good NFL kickers that actually like produces double-digit fantasy points.
Right. Crazy.
With Aaron Jones out, hop into Brock Wild's question. Would you start David Montgomery, Kyren Williams, or Zach Moss at full PPR? So, I mean, I wouldn't start Aaron Jones. We'll start with that. But we're going to bench Kyren Williams here. I think we can all agree on that. Do we want to go with the kind of crazy good matchup, but not necessarily as good of a player with Zach Moss over David Montgomery?
I'm not. I'm starting David Montgomery every week until Jahmyr Gibbs outsnaps him, and then maybe I'll consider it. But I'm going Montgomery in this situation.
Yeah, the Lions are a great team. I'm fine with starting David Montgomery. Even if he gets less work than Zach Moss, I think it'll be of better quality.
I mean, that offensive line is just so good. They just get work done. So I love David Montgomery at this point.
Yeah, it's the best offensive line in the NFL, and it's particularly not close in my opinion. I know that the 49ers have the best offensive lineman in the NFL, but Penei Sewell may very well be the second best offensive lineman in the NFL, and they have 4 of those guys. So, yeah. I think we're in agreement there. And again, that doesn't scare us off. Gibbs, don't get it twisted. I got to throw that out there. Gianluca, my boy from up north, London. Zach Moss or Gus Bus in standard. Keep that in mind. You got to go Zach Moss. I think you got to go Zach Moss.
Yeah, I'm the biggest Drake London fan in the world, and in standard, you're not starting him over Zach Moss. To be honest,
it's so unfortunate, man. It's so unfortunate that it's week 2 and we're telling people to bench Drake London, especially because of how fucking good he is. It's a shame.
He's also going to get shadowed by Jair Alexander the entire game.
Yeah, I'm obviously down for Zach Moss.
I think you have to. It's an
Mhm.
ugly play here too, and I'm not mad if you want to go Gus Bus and think that he will, get you your 100 yards, your 89 yards. Obviously,
Yeah.
the reception work that Zach Moss may inevitably see won't matter. It's really just a yardage play, but you know, I do think that they're in equal vulture situations with who their quarterbacks are as well as far as goal line touches go. So I'm going to lean Zach Moss just for the perceived higher opportunity share.
Yep.
Femi, I want you to kick this one off, so get your reading glasses on. Wide receiver 1 and 2 flex spots, half PPR, bonuses for 100 yards. I love Brandon Jacobs. I hope you're the real Brandon Jacobs. Obviously, you're a real Brandon Jacobs. Don't get it. I don't want you to feel demeaned. You're very much a real Brandon Jacobs. Wow, Femi actually has reading glasses.
They're
One
not
wide
reading
receiver,
glasses. They're just
2
regular
flex
glasses.
spots, half PPR, bonuses for 100 yards. I love the additions of information. D-Hop, Dotson, Godwin, Miles Sanders, Brian Robinson. Whoo-wee.
Okay. For me, I know I talked about potentially benching Hopkins, but in this case, I'm starting him. DeAndre Hopkins is a must for me. Brian Robinson's matchup is really good.
Mm-hmm.
So I probably put Brian. I do not like Brian Robinson, but the volume is there, and in a pretty solid matchup, I throw him in there, and then Miles Sanders is a darling of mine. I probably got to play him.
Yeah. I'm playing Miles Sanders at one of the flex spots. I'm putting D-Hop in the wide receiver spot. I completely agree with you there. And I think my change on that would be Dotson as the second flex over Brian Robinson.
That's fair. Miles Sanders against New Orleans is tough, but he was the first player to rush for over 100 yards against New Orleans. Yep. So it's like after a couple of years. So it's like if anyone could do it, it's this guy.
I think it was 37 games of nobody over 100 rushing yards, and then Miles Sanders did it as a member of the Eagles, and somebody else did it last year as well, which was incredible. I think it was actually Miles Sanders again.
And it's like even though it's a tough matchup on the ground, we saw last week that they are going to use him through the air as promised by coaching, and that is a part of Miles Sanders we haven't seen in a while, and it elevates his floor. And so even in a tough matchup, I mean, I'm going Miles Sanders. I'm going Miles Sanders here.
Yeah, and I said I would let Femi start, and then just laughed at his reading glasses and didn't even let him answer. So please, Femi.
Well, thankfully, you guys basically answered the question for me. I'm a little concerned with D-Hop. I don't know if he's going to reach that bonus, but I really don't want to start Brian Robinson. I know he's going to get the volume. Antonio Gibson was not used as a runner. But he's still kind of preserving that receiving role. Brian Robinson had 2 targets. He had 19 carries, only got 59 yards in a plus matchup. And I just really don't think he's like that excellent of a running back. I don't think volume can really save him very often. And the Broncos were 15th in true matchup rank against running backs, purely rushing. So, it's like a fine matchup. It's perfectly fine. It's like almost straight down the middle. But at the same time, like, I need a lot to happen for Brian Robinson to like go off. Like I need a big spread again against a bad team. And even then, I don't know how much I can really trust him. I'm going Miles Sanders here as the other flex, like you said. I'm locking in Dotson as the wide receiver 1. I don't think D-Hop deserves that yet.
Wow.
Not because of his history has sucked. He's amazing wide receiver.
I understand what you're saying.
But I think I like to – I just want to put Dotson there first, and then I'll put D-Hop after. I think there's a little bit that you could say for Godwin, but like we said, like this offense is just the targets aren't going to be there. I don't think the quality is, and you're going to play Rachaad White here.
Yeah, and Tannehill will look better. I don't know that Baker Mayfield will ever look better than he did in week 1.
Yeah.
Jake from IT, who is a regular both in the Discord, up in the pod, up in the chats, always here showing love. He's late. No, you're not. Crunch time guarantee. We get to all the questions. Stick around, my friend. He needs a wide receiver, running back, and a flex. He forgot to add Kyren Williams to this list. So I'm going to start by saying Kyren Williams, Josh Kelly, Samaje Perine, Kendrick Bourne, Puka Nacua, and Kadarius Toney. So start 3 of these guys or bench 3, however you want to look at it. You got 6 options.
I'm gonna go last.
Okay.
All right,
Because you want to say Kadarius Toney, right?
Yeah, I know. We're gonna.
I saw your little
benching
smirk.
Toney up in this. I'm benching Toney up in this thing. You're gonna start Puka. I'm not sold. No, absolutely not. You know how many week 1 outliers we've seen in NFL history? A billion. I know that's a bit of an exaggeration for the actual number, but it is infinite. It happens every single year in multiple teams. So I'm not quite sold, but obviously you can't bench him for Kadarius Toney or Kendrick Bourne in this matchup and what you saw last week. I mean, he's still probably 12 targets, so you have to put him in your lineups. Your running back here, Kyren Williams, Samaje Perine, Josh Kelly. We've been down on Josh Kelly all episodes, so I'm not even going to hesitate. I'll put Samaje in over the lineup. Let's keep that train rolling. Let's just bury Josh Kelly's value. And then one flex, Kendrick Bourne. Yeah.
I'm with you there, Matt. I really like what Bill O'Brien's doing in New England now that he's back.
Yeah, me too.
I know you said they're not going to throw 54 times a game. Absolutely not. And they do get a better running matchup. So I think Rondre Stevenson and even Ezekiel Elliott get a lot more work on the ground. But at the same time, very susceptible through the air. It's probably going to be a higher scoring game than most people expect. Like this game could be 34-28, and I wouldn't bat an eye. I don't think it'll be that, but it could very well be like 2 very pass heavy games. And then I love Samaje Perine. I think the Broncos are going to need him a lot. Thank you, Cass. I think the Broncos are going to need him a lot more than Javonte Williams, especially if the Commanders' pass rush really takes off. He's going to be a great blocker, and he's going to be out there on 3rd down. So, yeah, he's easily Puka, Bourne, Perine. Obviously, Puka in a bad matchup, but it's bold to go Toney, but I can understand why.
I think if you must start one of these wide receivers, I think Puka is the must start. What's up, gents? What's up, Ben? We out here. 2 of Najee, Javonte, Breece.
We're not going back to that question. I'm done with that. I disagree with you guys too much. We don't have enough time. I'll just let you have it. Breece Hall, you have to put in your lineup in this situation for me. You don't have to. I just am. And I can't bench Najee Harris. I can't do it. I don't like him.
I get it.
I just can't do it at this point. It's just people overreacting to 1 week. You drafted him for some reason, and you drafted him early enough, which I know sunk cost is kind of a fraud sometimes, but you took him in the 3rd round, probably, maybe the 4th. I don't know your situation, but you got to play him. You got to do it. And then I'm just chasing the upside with Breece Hall at this point. So I'm going to go Breece Hall and Najee Harris on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there.
I will disagree, but it's already 2-3, so we'll skip on to the next, 2 of 3. So we'll skip on to the next one. I don't hate it at all. Breece is absolutely the guy just for ceiling play that I want in this half PPR setup. Najee is, it's really difficult to honestly argue that. I mean, I don't think he's absolutely dead as far as value and opportunity share goes yet, and that's why you took him, man, is for him to produce, in off weeks like this. Big Will back in here. Need a flex decision. Half PPR. Dalvin Cook, Cortland Sutton, JSN, Roschon Johnson, and Justice Hill. A flex decision in this spot.
I'll take the shot on JSN here. I will.
Yeah, that's honestly kind of what I was thinking too. It's between JSN and Sutton for me. I might just take the shot on JSN.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning JSN, Roschon Johnson. I think if you need a better floor, obviously the running backs are going to supply that for you, and probably Sutton too. JSN easily the upside play here. Everyone else kind of really doesn't interest me. Even if Justice Hill hawks 2 touchdowns, JSN's upside is so much better than that. It's just a matter of when is he going to explode? And it's I really don't know. But if you feel like you're going to need that upside, easily JSN. I don't know if Roschon Johnson offers anything past the floor, and maybe a touchdown. But
yeah.
Flex question. Garrett Wilson, Mike Evans, Miles Sanders, Sutton in full PPR. I'm going with Booby Miles here.
I'm not benching Garrett Wilson.
I was trying to entice it.
I'm going Garrett Wilson here.
Yeah, you probably should go Garrett Wilson. I really do like Boobie Miles. I'm not going to deny it. I'm probably a little too high on him this week even. But Garrett Wilson is kind of the start. You can't give up on him in a full PPR league too. You're just asking for a lower depth of target now, which Wilson can produce incredible yak numbers on.
Yeah, I'm starting Garrett Wilson as well.
Yeah. I was just trying to entice a little.
Yeah, I got you.
Andrews in his first game or Juwan Johnson. You're starting Mark Andrews. That's not even, we don't have to go there. Longtime host, first-time caller, Casanova, and this is hilarious because he says he has a four-way decision and then mentions three players. So Justice Hill, Josh Kelly, or Roschon Johnson.
That's funny.
Are we that low on Kelly that we're putting him ahead of Roschon Johnson this week?
No, I'm not. I'm starting Josh Kelly in this situation.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. Or I should have said below, but you guys both knew what the question actually meant.
Oh no, the other one is or. That's the other option. I'm going to take or.
Right.
So just bench all of
Bobby
them.
Orr.
Yeah, just bench all of them, and that's it. I think you'll do better.
Yeah. Whoever your fourth option is might be the best of this, but I think for those three, it's Josh Kelly for me. Jason up in the chat asking, do you guys like David Montgomery or Joshua Kelly as an RB2? Now I'm going to show the question, but you already all know the answer. Hopefully you've been tuning in. It's David Montgomery until further notice, and that still does not make us low on Jahmyr Gibbs either. Geno Smith or Jared Goff, regardless of point production, it's going to be very low rushing floors for these guys, so you're basically just looking for the passing upside. It's Jared Goff. I don't think we'll have disagreements here. I would love to hear them, though.
You're not going to get one from me?
I think they're going to produce like the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not as low on Geno as consensus would project his range of outcomes for the rest of the season either. I still love Geno Smith, and I think that offense will get it clicking.
Santiago's fourth option was Charbonnet, by the way, but that doesn't change anything for me.
Certainly doesn't.
But yeah, you can go Jared Goff here. I'd probably go Geno Smith, but that's not really. I'm not like sold one way or another. I just like his weapons more, generally speaking. But
agreed.
I just feel like it's another thing where week one everyone's panicking. But I was never a big Geno Smith fan in the first place because he broke out after being in the league for 10 years. So yeah, I can vouch for Jared Goff, but
Yeah. Ninth season in the league, QB1 breakout, pretty incredible. Certainly one of the only outliers to actually do that. You don't see that very often. Ben in here with his second one, coming back at you, boys. 2 of Judy, Dotson, Zach Moss, Elijah Moore, Dubs, and Gabe Davis. Pick 2. Dotson, Moore?
That's what I'm going with there.
That works.
I think that question might have came in right before we broke the Amari Cooper news from Schefter as well, so that makes it a little easier for us. I think Elijah Moore has certainly the upside and the matchup. You have to wait till Monday night to see the points come in, but Dotson can supplement a little bit of that insurance so you don't have the panic attack. El Kraus, pick 1, full PPR. Puka, Hopkins, Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson.
It's Wilson.
Not all of them are. I mean, none of them are in great situations right now. But Garrett Wilson,
yeah,
clearly.
I mean, I think what you're looking at here is, all honesty, who's better after the catch? Who's better after the catch here? Because they're all going to see 10 to 15 targets, and they're all going to be at a ridiculously low depth of target because of how bad their quarterbacks are.
I'm scared about
Puka for the depth of target there because obviously Stafford is the best of these 3 quarterbacks.
I'm scared about Hopkins' health, but Hopkins on a points per game basis is probably going to end up being as good as Garrett Wilson. I think you can definitely. I don't want to bench Garrett Wilson. I don't, but when you have DeAndre Hopkins, it's tough.
Do we know if Aaron Rodgers is calling plays for Zach Wilson? I think that ups Wilson by 30 spots.
I think he still has the Bluetooth speakers with dolphin sex surrounding his Achilles, so he's out for the week.
I guess Garrett Wilson is the answer. Right. I guess you gotta let it ride and see where it goes. So.
I do just think in a kind of like full PPR, you're looking for like the easiest way to break it down is like targets to catch percentage and who's producing after the catch. I think that's probably Garrett Wilson can still produce a 100-yard game on a 2-yard depth of target, which he did multiple times last season, right? Like I think he was ranked 67th in average depth of target as a rookie. So yeah, Garrett Wilson, I think is still the play. Again, not sold on that week 1 breakout, but I don't think that Puka is necessarily a benchable player. So if you could slide him into your flex, maybe over a guy like Josh Kelly, for example, or somebody in that similar tier, I would do that as well. 2 flex from SWA or SWA, Judy, Hollywood, Dubs, and his tight end is Higbee or Njoku. I'll probably go Dubs and Judy, and then I'll definitely go Njoku over Higbee.
I'm going to go Hollywood over Dubs. That's about it.
All right. I like that.
Yeah,
I'm the Hollywood truther, but also
it was unfortunate what happened last week. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just such a low volume offense that seems to be favoring the center of the field, and most of Hollywood and Rondale's production came on like pop passes, right? So
I'll do Judy, Dubs, and Njoku as well, especially with Cooper probably out. Yeah, I mean Aaron Jones and Christian Watson being out, I think just helps Dubs. I think his snap share is going to go up from last week. It has to, the healthier he gets, and he's fucking productive when he's on the field. He's always productive. That's what we've learned, I think, is that he's a productive player thus far. So I'm higher on him than most, it seems, this week, but I like him a lot. So yeah, Judy, Dubs, and Njoku for me.
These are some of my favorite start set questions, and I kind of wish we got more of them. But Trey up in here, Denver defense versus Washington or Miami defense versus New England? I'm going Denver.
Denver.
I don't know when you're going to start Miami's defense, but it's not.
I don't know why everybody thought they were going to be the fantasy defense or one of the top tier defenses in the league. I mean, I get it, Vic Fangio, that's why, but they also don't have any of the pieces that Vic Fangio uses in his defense. Yeah. Like they don't have a shutdown slot corner. They don't have a roaming nickel. They don't have a strong box safety. Like they have none of the things that a Fangio defense needs. They don't have Von Miller. Like they don't have. It's very strange that, that's the system that they're running, yet they don't have any of the chess pieces to do so. And I think that defense is going to get exposed a lot this season. PPR flex, Breece, D-Hop, Brandon Ayuk. Come on.
Yeah, next.
Much love, Madden Life, but it's Brandon Ayuk. I hope you're still around. We only got a few more left. People are obviously, realizing that we're getting down to the crunch time, but we'll always get to them, guys. If there's no more questions in here when we get to the last one, we'll give the sign off, but we got a few more. So please stick around and keep sending them in if you got questions. Super C&B Challenger, sit 1 PPR. So bench question. Miles Sanders, David Montgomery, Breece Hall.
You're not going to like this.
Yeah, we're going to sit Booby.
You got to sit Miles Sanders with these guys, I think.
It's so hard, man. Like 10 touches for Breece Hall on a 35% snap share is likely what his pitch count is going to look like. And that is like, it's 100 yards. Like that's just who he is. Yeah. Breece Hall is as good as it gets for a guy like on a pitch count, like Tony Pollard. You know what I mean? Like you're not even worried at how many touches they are because of how high valuable every single touch is.
Mm-hmm.
Super C back in here with another one just right after. Also, Broncos, Browns, Giants, or Bucks defense this week.
Giants
defense against Cardinals. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're just if there's ever a streaming defense question and they're playing the Arizona Cardinals, that's the answer.
I mean, I think I like the Browns a lot as well, but I'm just gonna be simple and go.
And as I alluded, I definitely like the Broncos defense, but I think Themi will agree with us too, as much as we've been chowing at that Daniel Jones bounce back game. I do think that, the Giants get up early, the Cardinals are stuck passing, and then
I think the Giants are going to be like the hot defense, and I agree there. I think Bucks gets a little bit of consideration over the other two, just because I think they're going to shut down Justin Fields very effectively. But I think the Giants have like the ability to actually get like a defensive touchdown and then like multiple of like those stats that really matter. Whereas like shutting down a team, getting 1 sack and a pick, like it gets you a good amount of points, but like it's not that much. I think you're getting more, I guess, upside out of the Giants. I think very slightly though.
David Ezekiel back in for his last one of the day, I believe. Kelly or Dylan, half PPR. I know you stuck around because you got your question in last minute, David. It's probably AJ Dillon here. I think it's the higher ceiling. It's the very similar opportunity shares. Definitely a more of a chance to catch passes. Now, neither one of them are really great receivers, but at least we've actually seen AJ Dillon use his hands in the passing game. I don't think I've ever watched Josh Kelly ever catch a pass. That's college included.
Yeah.
A bit of an exaggeration, sure, but like kid's got cement hands.
I think Dillon is the pick here. I will say, if we're wrong on Josh Kelly, people are gonna be pissed.
Yeah, that's the issue with like.
But you've been consensusly low on like one player.
I just think that the Josh Kelly thing, like, not to go on a tangent because we have some more stuff to do, but like he's just like the hot thing, and just because someone, he had a great week last week and stuff like that, but Miami's defense fucking sucks apparently, you know. So like
that was an outlier game too. The run defense was never that bad.
Yeah, so it's like I don't trust it. And you're gonna beat Tennessee through the air. We all know that. We already said that, but like I think the logic is there. It's just the shiny new toy that everybody wants. It's the, it's the fucking the serotonin boost. Like, yeah, I got him off waivers. Let's fucking put him in. And it's like, I just don't think this is the week to do it. I just don't. I just don't see it. I think you're setting yourself up. It's a Isaiah Likely type situation to me. 100%. It's like it's fool's gold.
Except Likely is actually good at football.
That's fair.
Yeah,
fair.
Well, I think that's kind of like another misconception is good, but like Bick's nailing it, and that is like the psychological trick that people are tricking themselves into. Is he's not new. He's been mediocre for 4 years. This is his 4th season in the league.
Yeah,
like that, but everybody is just like, finally he's clicking. And even I'm slightly guilty. Like I said earlier at the top of the hour, I do think he can become the thumper they so desperately need, but not an RB1. Like, he'll never be an opportunity share leader. And I think the more that you actually increase his opportunity throughout the game without a substitution like Austin Eckler to spread the defense apart, Kelly's just going to get stuffed.
Yeah.
And again, you're going to beat the Titans through the air. Smitty, what's up, fellas? It's been a while. Yeah, but I recognize you, brother. Thanks for coming back. I'm glad football is back as well. Start 2 full PPR. Smitty needs to know. Dalvin Cook, Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, Roschon Johnson. We're picking 2.
Puka.
Yep, sure. Uh-huh.
And I'm going Roschon as the second.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, I'm not on Roschon Johnson as much as you guys in general, but
Demi's been warming up to him as the hour goes on.
I know, but elderly Dalvin Cook against the Cowboys and a guy that I still think is a fluke in Kyron Williams. I go Roschon Johnson as well with Puka.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's where I'm going to lean to. So we can go 3 for 3 on that one and hop over to Michael Maros, who needs to know if he should start George Kittle or Darren Waller, and he's adding the caveat that it is full PPR.
Darren Waller's playing against the Cardinals, so
Darren Waller. He also he did lead the Giants in route participation and tied for team high in targets, although the team high in targets was 3. But I honestly think Darren Waller staring down the pipeline of one of those monumental, top 10 wide receiver seasons like he put up in was it still Oakland at the time? It was.
I think so.
Yeah. So in Oakland. Yeah, I'm going to go Darren Waller. Demi?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I think George Kittle is always the better tight end, like as an actual player. It's just going to be hard for them to consistently get him the ball every week. And I think if it was almost any other player except for Darren Waller, Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, I would start George Kittle.
Right.
I want both in my lineup. I don't know if you have a flex spot or if you can get him in there, but if it's an 8 or 10 team league, obviously I can see you bully tight end, or even 12 team league, but if it's a 12 team league, I would try to see if you could sneak them both in there.
That's exactly where where my mind went as well, actually, because
one of these guys is a very decent flex play.
Right? Yeah, I mean, you had to have drafted them at a pretty hefty price to get both of them. I don't know the other situations, because we have little time left. I didn't. I wasn't going to bring up the flex conversation because then it's another question and trying to figure that out. But If you can get it in real shortly, then we could discuss that because I think flexing one of them is not a bad idea.
Mike,
but
if you're still in here, make sure that you toss us your flex options too.
Yeah, but I would say Waller, where we sit currently.
Much love, part of the family. Johnny Petrop in here, Daniel Jones, Jordan Love, or Geno Smith, half PPR.
I'll go Daniel Jones there.
Yeah.
Jordan Love, I think can like, do some damage, but the Falcons are building like one of the sneakiest defenses in the league.
Their defense is actually nasty, man.
Yeah, and it's not that Jordan Love can't like carve them up, but like you're missing two of your best players. It's just like I'm downgrading him just a little bit, and I think Daniel Jones has like the big upgrade here.
Yep.
I think Jones is absolutely, arguably the best matchup for any quarterback with rushing upside in week 2.
And they're gonna need a bounce back. The Giants need it for the
and
culture,
they're in
for the confidence.
Spot for Dayball to really open up that playbook too, and just say, "F it," like we can score points even if it is against Arizona, right?
Right, and he's he's going to provide a rushing floor as well. So not huge, but could be a touchdown worth if it's a 4-point touchdown league. Like if he rushes for 40 yards, it's a touchdown. So, he's the most mobile of the three, I do believe. So I would go Daniel Jones there as well.
100%. Robert Perez, Higbee or Kincaid, full PPR. I hope you were here a little bit earlier because we broke down how Higbee absolutely flatlined against the easiest possible matchup for tight ends last week. I am not high on any rookie tight ends this week other than Sam Laporta, who I have as my sleeper tight end of the week.
Good spot.
But I think I'm going to lean Kincaid because I have to go with my bust of the week being Tyler Higbee and stay true to the brand.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. Kincaid was pretty involved in his first ever week. And I don't like rookie tight ends in general. But at this point, fuck Tyler Higbee, respectfully. Yeah, I'm down for Kincaid. I'll take the lesser of two evils.
Man, I'm really trying to like.
Johnny, thanks y'all. Keep killing it. Much love, much respect, Johnny.
Appreciate it, bro.
I might actually go Higbee here, but it's like tough.
I hate you.
I
hate you. Flex PPR, McLaurin, Javonte, JSN, or Dubes. We've got 2 left here, and Michael did fit his flex question in, so that's a part of the 2. And then we got one more Dynasty League question to close things out. So let's run this up. Let's run up the numbers, run up the views. Flex PPR, McLaurin, Javonte, JSN, Dubs.
I'll go McLaurin here.
Dobbs, who cares at this point?
I'll go McLaurin as well. Yeah, McLaurin, if he's playing, you put him in your lineup, and that's that.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Completely agree. Michael wanted to mention that it was a Dynasty League, so he appreciates the answer, fellas. We appreciate you hopping in. Much love to you as well, man. He's got the last one filling in that flex spot. McLaurin, Dubs, Mostert, Kittle. So basically, are we starting Kittle over McLaurin?
I'm starting McLaurin over Kittle myself.
Yeah, so I think you're throwing Waller in as that tight end spot, kind of maybe eating a little bit of points on your bench with Kittle having a potentially big game, but McLaurin is the play over Kittle in a full PPR there. Missed out on Swift earlier, Dynasty League. Yeah, I think Swift was started in 70 or benched in 72% of leagues across all platforms, man. So you're not the only one.
Surtain, is he going to shadow McLaurin?
Yeah,
that information.
Most likely. I mean, Patty likes to do the roaming shadow, so whoever's on the I guess roaming shadow relative to whoever's on the left side of the field.
Okay. It doesn't really change my answer. I'm just curious. It's not something I love to see, but
yeah, he's not like Lattimore or Jair who will play the nickel, the out, whatever. Like good example because I wrote about it, but Jair covered DJ Moore for 79% of his routes last week. Like that's a shadow.
Yeah, that sucks.
The only times that he didn't were zone coverage. Cool. Yeah. Surtain definitely roams a little bit, and they do run a little bit of a more zone defense in Denver as well. Cool. So it won't be a complete shadow, but yeah, you're probably looking at about a 60% one-on-one.
All right. Well, I'm starting. I said it. I'll stick to it. I mean, McLaurin is a dog. McLaurin is good at football. So I like players in my lineup that are good at football. So he'll be in my lineup.
I mean, you got any other opinions on that one?
Nope, I'm good with that.
Perfect, brother. Last one of the day. Thank you all for tuning in. Crunch Time Guarantee. We will answer every question. We still got half an hour to set our own lineup, so this is looking good. Vic was right. Hour and a half. That's the time needed.
I know,
so Dynasty full PPR. I need to start 2 wide receivers to DJ Music. My wide receivers are Amon-Ra St. Brown, start him. Keenan Allen and Brandon Ayuk. Flex is filled with Nick Chubb. Yeah, I mean, you got to start Nick Chubb in that flex spot. So Amon-Ra St. Brown must start wide receiver in full PPR formats at all times. Keenan Allen or Brandon Ayuk.
No Eckler against the Tennessee defense. I'm starting Keenan Allen.
That's where I'm
I
going
think
to.
I am too, and I'm Mr. Brandon Ayuk truther, like always been the wide receiver one in San Francisco. It's never been the Debo show. He was a running back, but anyway, Brandon Ayuk is an absolute stud, but I think a little bit of a tougher, actually maybe not even that perceivably tougher. Rams defense more so are strong up front than they are in the secondary. But with that said, yeah, Keenan Allen against the best matchup for wide receiver production last season and showed it again last week. You got to start Keenan Allen, somebody that's going to see 12 to 13 targets and is a constant wide receiver one producer.
Yep. I'm liking that too. It's hard to bench Ayuk, but
Bro, he's got Chubb in his flex. Like, what a lineup. What a draft.
Crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, who's your quarterback?
I think you're pretty safe with however you want to shake it out, to be honest. I wouldn't put Ayuk in the flex over Chubb. So it's Chubb, Amon-Ra, and the high upside play of a veteran overlooked Keenan Allen against a very weak defense.
Yep.
Excellent. One more shout out of love from Michael. Bet you guys are always my go-to, always listening to the pods. Thank you. Thank you for tuning in, man. You don't know how much that support means to us.
That's
and
awesome.
If you want to support a little more for everybody that's still online, please head over to patreon.com/BrotoFantasy. You can follow us all on Twitter at BrotoFantasy. I'm at PsychWardFF. Are you Vic Noli still?
No, it doesn't matter. We don't have to shout me out. It's
okay, fine. At Gridiron Greek. Much love, much respect. Follow the whole army. Keep up with the content. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. We will see you next Sunday, same time, same bat channel. Peace.
Thanks for coming.